baby, listen to me speak it. No matter what, just say it hard.
Perswayable. What's going on, everybody? Hey, what's the difference between beer nuts and deer nuts? Well, for beer nuts, you can buy them for under 49 cents, but for deer nuts, you can get them just under $1. Awful. Unsubscribe. Today, we're going to talk about Gamekeeper's not only his buff from a long time ago, but we're also going to have a guide. For those who are not familiar with this, our guides are a run-in series, so it happens over time. It's not just one episode explains everything. We are going to try to cover things. So we now know that you can hook people in the beginning of the game, but it doesn't do any damage. You have to hit them. If you miss and you hook a wall and you come within a certain vicinity of a survivor, you emit a shock wave. You reduce their movement speed by up to 20% for 5 seconds. And of course, if you hit somebody with a chain hook, they will be marked with a nasty little smell, kind of like if you get gonorrhea, never mind. And with that nasty smell, you'll be able to see them 2 times intermittently for the next 60 seconds. With the skill, you start off with the hook in the beginning of the game, does no damage. Then when you unlock it midway, it does 50% damage. When you unlock your full hook, you get 2 additional hooks after the first one. So you essentially get 3 within a certain time frame. This video was made at the end of Season 9. For those who are unaware, Gamekeeper, you used to have to actually unlock it, the hook, which means you had to build towards persona presence. You don't have to do that anymore. Let's get into the gameplay of the first top Chinese player, one of them. This is a rank number 7 overall at the time of this video. Very good Gamekeeper player. Very, very entertaining to watch Gamekeepers play. So let's get into it. What he's going to do is he's going to move over here. Now, the number 1 strategy for any hunter, you have to remember the spawn points. Know the spawn points and know the weak areas of the map relative to where survivors go. For instance, where he's going right now is considered a very weak spot of the map. However, as a mercenary, you have elbow pads which can help you get out of it. And remember, Gamekeeper has a very small attack range, so it can be very easy to counter like what we just saw. We saw that mercenary was able to avoid and juke that first hit. However, you have that hook. That hook has been buffed, so now it's a lot longer. It goes faster. And there is a little bit of an auto calibration where you have to just be relatively close to the survivor. Now, typically speaking, a lot of hunters don't tunnel mercenaries, but what they will do sometimes is tunnel them in the beginning to see if they get them down. And this is really where you see that stun. That I'm not sure if that actually activated on that mercenary. I'm pretty sure that stun missed the mercenary. But remember that when you get in the vicinity of that hunter, or rather survivor, you have that 20% movement speed decrease. I'm not saying it activated right there, but that's what makes Gamekeeper very deadly, is that even if you miss the hook, if you can get relatively close to them, you can slow that speed down of the survivor and really be able to follow up with a regular hit. Now, remember, in the beginning, okay, remember that your hook no longer does damage right away. You have to level it up. All right, and we can see in that bottom right-hand corner, it's leveled up. So now hooks, when you get to that point, are going to deal half damage. All right, now I don't have the persona build for this hunter, but I'm going to show you the number 1 Gamekeeper of Season 9's build. Now, before we get to that, watch what he does. So he's going to hook. He's going to hit. All right. That's an important thing to do on defense. You get close to them, you hook them, and then you hit them. Because what you can do is you can hit the mercenary, and then worst case scenario, if you can't connect with the person that went for the rescue, you can hook them. Does that make sense? Let's rewatch that. All right. So we're going to replay that real quick. So what he does is he kind of gets close to him so he can guarantee the hook. So he hooks him for that half damage, right? 50% damage of a normal attack, and then he hits him. So what happens here is that when Seer goes in for the rescue, if he can hit the mercenary and down the mercenary, then if the Seer is running somewhere else, all he would need to do is hook the Seer. So even if the characters separate, right, you can still get both of them down. He has great defense potential. So if you can get the hook hit in, so we'll call it the hook hit, very important. All right, that's what your defense is. If you can hook, All right, but that's when you're actually at that persona build or that persona point where your hook actually does half of the normal damage. So let's continue on with the match right here. Now, in one of the future videos, I'll show the other defense strategy, which is to try to Terra Shock. So essentially, you hold your hook and you wait for the survivor to go in for the rescue. You try to Terra Shock them, and then you follow up with a hit, etc. That's always been a strategy to a degree, whether it's a good one or a bad one. We'll talk about in a later segment or episode. The problem with that strategy is that a lot of top gamekeepers get fed up with the auto calibration that happens on the chair. Sometimes you'll go in for the rescue, and you know how the hook will sometimes readjust to the survivor. So even though the hook is somewhat inaccurate, it readjusts to the survivor and brings them back. So you have that auto calibration that happens. Well, that can happen with the rocket chair as well. So if you're swinging and you throw that hook and you're trying to get that Terra Shock on the rescue and survivor, and then you end up hitting the chair, you end up messing up. Now, that can change a little bit. We'll talk about this later, maybe even a different episode, where that was a beautiful hook, where if you have your hook fully mastered, where you can use 3 hooks, that might be a more valid strategy, but still, you got to be careful with that. So anyways, let's get back to the gameplay. I know I talked a lot about defense there, but I did want to show that sort of gameplay, and we can see that 2 people are down, and now they're going to follow up. This hunter's going to follow up with the mercenary, I believe. They're going to put the mercenary back into the chair, and mercenary is now eliminated. Going to follow up with the survivor. Remember, sometimes, guys, that you have patience. You don't have to always pick these characters up right away. You can see the patience that this gamekeeper has, the discipline, and is able to pick them up, put them back into the chair. So now what we have is we have somebody who has not been on the chair yet, but they're still at 2 ciphers. So there's a lot of potential here. And that's where Gamekeeper can get really nasty as a hunter, because usually you don't want to go after a mercenary for too long in the beginning of the match. Sometimes you're forced to, depending on which route you go as a hunter, but not too many hunters prefer going after mercenaries right away. And Gamekeeper is somebody that can really be dangerous towards him. So here's the second strategy. He has his hook maxed, all right? And he tries to go in for it, and it doesn't end up working out, all right? However, because he has his hook maxed out on the bottom right, he has 2 more hooks. So sometimes you can throw that hook, and it doesn't really necessarily work, but you may have enough time to try to throw another hook. So you're actually seeing both defensive strategies here. And the reason being so is that the survivor was so close to the rocket chair that he had no other option. So that defense at this point was his second option. All right, so you see the 2 different defensive strategies, and they both have their own merits. It's just that I think a lot of people revert to that, oh, I'm going to just try to hook for the Terra Shock. And I don't really always think that's an advisable decision to make. Think about it this way, right? Not necessarily just in this match, because initially the seer stopped to try to provide his owl to the mercenary, okay? But imagine if that seer just ran off, right? Like took off. Really, what happens is that if you can time that hook correctly, take away 75% of their health, hit the person on the rocket chair, and then turn around and try to hook the other survivor. This strategy forces survivors to ideally separate. But now that's in the beginning of the game. Because typically what survivors will do is they'll try to body block. But if they try to body block and you can hit that person, now your hook is ready to charge again. You turn around and you can do exactly what he did against that seer. So I do want people to know that the main popular strategy is not to just try to hook for those Terra Shocks. It can be very dangerous, but very rewarding. It's all about timing, especially with that calibration. So just showing you the 2 different strategies. Now I want to show you this brilliant move that this Gamekeeper does, because some of these movements are going to be more than just what you see in regards to how you play a character. And I'm going to show you this in a second. So we now see that second person is on the rocket chair. All right, there was a little bit of lag right there. That's what you're going to see. Look at that little cute little moonwalk, right? This is just lag. And what he's going to do is he's going to juke to the side, right? He's going to come over here, force him to hop that pallet. He goes too far, but the other person is rescued. Gamekeeper understands that. We understand that the ciphers have been already popped, right? But now he knows that both of these survivors are probably nearby unless both of them took off. and he can see them running towards the ship. Now watch this move. This is big brain moves. All right. The hunter is going to pretend like he's leaving because he has teleport, right? He has teleport, so he's going to look away. He's looking away. And what he's going to do is he's going to teleport over, and he's going to prevent this rescue. Watch this rescue. What a beautiful anti-rescue. Survivor did a good job trying to secure that tie so they don't lose rank points. Remember, this is all tier 6 gameplay. But that was some big brain energy. Excellent. He's pissed off. He's pissed off. Y'all go in the forest. You kill the deer. He's the protector of the forest. He's pissed off with you all. He's going to kill you all. He's mad. All right? How dare you? Get it? If you want to subscribe, I don't blame you. Thank you for watching this video. We're going to leave it at 1 game today. And again, I would like to thank you all. I'd like to give a little shout out to Gigawatt, always being super happy and super nice to me. I appreciate that positive feedback. I got to start shouting out the loyal people of the community more within these videos. And definitely come on Twitch, guys. Come and watch me. Come and play with me. I'll rank up with you. We can lose and yell at the game together. Love you all. Get ready for a nice series. Bye now.